Yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously big week ahead. Last two regular season games are to go. I think a mix of kind of disappointment that we're not in a more advanced position within the conference, but still with a ton of belief that the performances have been good, and sadly, probably for the second time in that 3-game stretch, we've probably been on the end of a result that don't really feel was a fair reflection of the game or the quality of performance. So obviously the nature of this contest and with it being Marshall, I think it comes at a good time for us. I think we're excited to perhaps correct some of the outcomes that we've seen more recently, where I'm very, very honest with the players. I think if we're well beaten and our opponent is better than us, then I'm honest enough to kind of acknowledge that and accept defeat in a way that makes the players aware that the result was justifiable. But I think what we have felt and what we have probably seen from a statistical perspective, I think we've been pretty unfortunate to be on the wrong side of Georgia State and Kentucky, and this is where it finds us. So we have a little bit of work to do. And the message is very much to make sure that we make Kentucky earn it with 2 games to go. Make sure that if they're going to go on and win the conference, that they have to win out in order to do so, and that we make it as hard as we possibly can, whilst obviously picking up 2 really important wins at the end of the season.
Nick, we'll start with you.
Dan, thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon. You and I have spoken before about shots on goal conversion rate. Is there anything that stands out on film from these last handful of matches about the quality of chances that you've been getting? Like, do you feel that you are getting good enough quality chances that you guys should be scoring at a higher rate?
Yeah. I think if you just purely looked at it, the shots that we're taking, the quality of chances that we're creating, there's enough there to obviously be on the right side of some results that we haven't been recently. And we have been converting at a pretty good ratio for the vast majority of the season. So obviously we've hit a little bit of a drought or perhaps below the statistical average for the last handful of games that we don't want to read too much into. But I do think we need to be aware of some elements of our attacking play that can improve, that can show more assertiveness, more aggressiveness, more arrivals in scoring positions, more opportunistic earlier. Quite often, there's very little as a coach you can do about the final action or the final ball strike. That often comes down to the players' composure and their skill level, but we also don't want to sit here as coaches void of any blame when results aren't going our way. So we have looked at, almost wind the tape back an extra 20 seconds, what happens in the development of play where we can be a little bit more opportunistic and take advantage of some overloads a little bit quicker, recognize moments where we're about to create a threat a little bit earlier, and therefore accumulate more numbers in more attacking positions, and perhaps whether it's 8 shots, 10 shots, maybe that turns into 12, into 15, because there's just a greater number of greater volume of bodies in the penalty area, greater density of players in more dangerous positions. And that was probably the biggest message. The players have responded really, really well this week. We had a really good review session on just yesterday, and went out and did some attacking work yesterday. Obviously we've spent today working on preparing for Marshall and presenting the scout to the players, and then done some work in relation to the game plan for Friday night, and the guys are in good spirits. So like I said, it's there was no version of this season where this week wouldn't have been incredibly important for us. You're always either jostling for a higher RPI finish, or maintaining a high RPI finish. So there was always going to be work to do at this stage. I think given the landscape and given the nature of how results have gone, we're just, as I said, disappointed that we don't control our fate to potentially go back to back on the regular season title. So we'll do our damnedest to make it as hard as we can on Kentucky, and hopefully they'll have to win out in order to secure that instead of us.
Spencer, we'll go to you.
Hey, Dan, just your earlier scouting report on Marshall. What do they do well, and what sort of challenges do they praise? Obviously, it's a team that you're familiar with, playing them the past couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. They've evolved a little bit. It's been interesting to watch them this season and more recently. There's some subtle adjustments to structure that I've noticed in the last handful of games. A team and a coach, obviously, that you mentioned, I know particularly well. That I think there's some adjustments to their playing style where they're maybe a little bit more willing to play direct or play a little bit more vertically at times. A lot of their build up and a lot of their tactics in possession are kind of based on time. So they almost play a game of cat and mouse with you to kind of wait to see what your structure is going to be and what your line of confrontation and pressure is going to be. And the game can almost grind to a halt. If you speed up, they speed up. So they're capable in those moments as well. So you kind of have a decision to make as a coach, and we've kind of scouted them both ways and seen when teams have been really, really patient against them, such as ODU in the last game. And other teams that have maybe tried to be a little bit more confrontational and aggressive in the press. So they're versatile in the way that they do it, and they almost decide on their tempo based on what you bring and what level of aggression you bring from a defensive side. So we'll have to be intelligent with the moments we pick and how aggressive exactly we plan to be from that perspective. And then, we've also seen them be a little bit more direct on set pieces. A team that you would traditionally say would look to build the game and accumulate a lot of passes are a little bit more willing to play the ball longer from set piece situations from deeper positions that I've not necessarily seen before. So I haven't had the luxury of speaking to Chris as to exactly why, and he certainly won't tell me this week anyway, but there's some changes and some things that we'll need to be prepared for that are maybe slightly different to the Marshall teams we've seen in previous years.
Ben, we'll go to you.
Hey, Coach. So it seems like every year, especially when you play in Morgantown, that the crowd at Dick Dlesk is a factor. Do you look for that to be a factor in this game, especially with what's on the line between you and Marshall pretty much battling it out for that kind of final conference spot?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a great crowd against Georgia Southern. Crowds have been on the up for us since kind of second half of the season, which we were really, really pleased about. And then this is just kind of that marquee game, right? Like you have an in-state rivalry. You think of the last 2 years, but certainly 2023 from a regular season perspective, where there had to have been a maximum capacity, full sellout for that game. I know that we've planned to bring in the bleachers again for the additional capacity this year, and we're going to need the Maniacs, need that student section to be really, really rowdy and to be the 12th man. It has been in the past. I know we were able to create a really, really hostile environment for our opponent that season. And again, last year hosting the conference final, having a sellout crowd, it absolutely makes a difference. Both of those games obviously went our way. So, it would be naive or short-sighted to think that the crowd and the environment that we can create in order to give ourselves that home field advantage wouldn't be a factor going into Friday night as well. So I'm excited to see more people in Morgantown and more people in Dick Dlesk than we have all year, and to really create an incredible memory on what is also senior night as well. So what a fantastic fitting moment for those seniors to hopefully go out in a record attendance, and obviously with a win against an in-state rival. That would be an awesome senior night memory for those guys.
Joe, we'll go to you.
Good afternoon, Dan. You mentioned talking with Coach Grassi, and obviously you have great respect for him and a great friendship that's evolved throughout the years. Is that a challenge in a way when you're getting ready to be at your best and to do battle in a consequential match, that you're going up against somebody that you do have a great deal of friendship and respect for?
I like Chris. I don't particularly care for Marshall, so it's quite easy to separate the two. So no, listen, they're a well-coached team. They're a good team. What he's achieved there and what he's done there has been nothing short of astounding. And I'm happy. I'm happy for him. And then I'm happy that the nature of the game is at the level it's at. So when I was in college, the game against Pittsburgh was the rivalry, and Marshall was kind of a bit of an afterthought with respect to where they were 20 odd years ago. So the fact that I sit before you today, and I would think 4 of the last 5 or maybe 5 of the last 6 contests that we've had with Marshall have been a top 25 matchup, many of them top 10 matchups, even 1 versus 5 with 2 undefeated teams. The nature and the magnitude of the games that we've been able to present to our players and to our fans has been something really, really special. And it takes two to tango. So I'm grateful that Marshall are good. It makes for an incredible memory. I said to the players today, it's not just your average game. There are very, very few college teams and student athletes that get to play in a game like this, right? You think about a rivalry game, a sellout crowd. How many Division I men's soccer programs in the country get that type of game at this type of level, with the recent history that the two programs have? So let's embrace it, and let's take full advantage of it, and see if we can't make an incredible memory and obviously and have a signature win for where we are this season as well.
Ryan, we'll go to you.
So Dan, you kind of just answered right there what I was getting ready to ask you, but can you just continue to speak to what this rivalry means, not only just for the two programs, but I guess the state at large, and trying to grow soccer within the state, and also I guess too, just putting yourselves as a program on the largest map of college soccer at the highest level possible?
Yeah, I mean, I know from what was reported back to us from the Sun Belt Conference, certainly the last 2 years, the most streamed and viewed Division I regular season game has been West Virginia versus Marshall. So there are more eyes on this than any other game in the country throughout the course of the year, and that comes with a responsibility, right? Obviously, we should take some credit that both programs have built themselves to a point where it deserves that recognition and has that scale. But it also comes with the responsibility to represent the state, represent both programs in a really, really positive way and in a positive light. So it's often a bit of a chess match between ourselves and them, but it's also never been void of good action and good entertainment as well. So certainly hope that continues, and that obviously WVU is on the right side of it on Friday night.
Nick, back to you.
Dan, this is not my question, but just to confirm, you're saying that the Sun Belt has reported to both teams that it is the most streamed match in the country, or most streamed Sun Belt game?
Most streamed match in the country, national,
Pretty.
in 2023 and 2024. So yeah, it's a cool stat, and yeah, hopefully those numbers continue to grow. Hopefully our crowds continue to grow. I know Chris likes the idea, and we haven't spoke about this for some time, but love the idea of kind of a neutral location somewhere in a 10,000 seat stadium and see if we can fill it. I'd like to hazard a guess that we probably could one of these days, but yeah, I think it only adds to the players' experience, the fans' experience, and yeah, it's a challenge to play Marshall, but it's also an opportunity, right? Like in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I guarantee Marcus Caldera will be talking about that 2023 game, and Mark Bernay will be talking about that 2024 conference final. And I hope that the two of them and many others have a memory from 2025 as well. So yeah, we're excited to have the challenge, and as I said, in some regards, happy that it's them that we get to perhaps show some of our improvements and show hopefully an improvement in how prolific we are, and get back to the threat and the scoring threat that we were a little bit earlier in the season. It'd be a great night to do it.
So Dan, how hard are they to break down? I think they've had 4 consecutive clean sheets, and in terms of Sun Belt matches, they've given up tied for the fewest goals with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But what about their back four and their keeper make them so difficult to break down?
Yeah, and that's a further evolution of what we've seen from Marshall, probably certainly over the course of this season, maybe a little bit on their tournament run, and the latter half of last year it started to creep in a little bit to their game. But yeah, a defensive structure that's interesting, that's slightly different to how we do it. You know, this idea that they're going to be a little bit more man for man oriented, prepared to kind of drop more numbers on their back line. So I wouldn't be surprised if conceivably we were the team with the ball and the team with more possession, which I would have said that was a guarantee or something I would anticipate, perhaps to the confidence that I'm saying it today, a year ago or 2 years ago. So that with that, we have to be really, really dynamic off the ball, really, really intelligent with our movements and our timing of our movements, and find opportunities to break them. I think they are. I think they evolved a little bit last year when they had Lineker dos Santos up front. In terms of how they defended, they're less inclined to full press at times, I would say, and a little bit more patient to jump it and maybe value those attacking transitions if they can win the ball from you perhaps more than I have seen in previous years. So they can possess perhaps slightly more of a threat when we have the ball than they have in the past, but they're willing to give up the ball away more than they have in the past as well, which obviously allows us potentially the capacity to dictate terms and hopefully create some chaos and create some threat for them as well. So yeah, we've seen some things that are a little bit different, that are a little bit more difficult to break down, but there's also aspects of that we like, which is the idea of us, potentially having more possession and having more capacity to hurt them.
Any other questions? Not? Then, okay. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you on Friday.